Hey.
Hey guys, we're at my place. Last week I mentioned what I have in my Intra workout drink. So today I'm just going to take you through how I put it all together before I leave for the gym. Training upper body today, so after we've gone through this, we'll just head down to the gym and take you through that. Alright guys, I'm going to take you through my Intra workout drink. So I've got here some L-citrulline, just for some pumps and some blood flow. Essential amino acids. We've got creatine and then some intra-workout carbohydrates. You can get these much cheaper just by using like a Gatorade or a Powerade powder or a Vitago, but I like to spend my money for taste. I use the ice shaker because I like my drinks to stay nice and cold, and this keeps it cold for hours, so I'll actually put some ice in before we leave and then it will stay cold for, well, the ice will stay icy forever. I don't measure any of that really. The only thing I measure is my carbohydrates. So I have 40 grams when I train, which is usually like just under 2 scoops. Good. Blueberry flavor. No, grape flavor. What is that one? They're both great. Very grapey. And then I just add a little bit of salt in there as well. Now, as I said before, I like my drink to be nice and cold, so get some pre-blender, and I've got one ready to go for today. So I'm going to chuck some ice in here and then we're all set. Alright guys, we're starting off today's upper body workout with some dumbbell lateral raises. I've already done my top set at 12.5 kilos. Hitting 8 to 10 reps there. I'm going to do a back off set here with the 10 kilos. I'm going to aim for about 12 to 15 reps. From there, I'm going to move on to the line cable lateral raise, so targeting the delts more in that mid to lengthen range after we've hit the shortened position with the dumbbells. into the Smith machine shoulder press or high incline press. A common mistake that I see with this one is that people have this bench completely upright without having that degree of external rotation, which is going to cause impingement because they're not working within their range of motion. So I always recommend for people that can't externally rotate that far to have the bench on a slight decline. It's going to set you up in a more optimized position, create a little bit more stability throughout the movement as well, which will allow you to increase the intensity. As far as like alignment goes, we want this bar to be in line with our anterior delt because that's the target muscle for this movement. So I always do like a few warm-up sets without any weight just to make sure that the alignment's all there. And then as I'm working up to my working set, I'll slowly, gradually add more weight. And that just like neurologically sets you up for a better performing set, I guess, especially for that top set where we're looking at training for that close proximity of failure. So this will be the second warm-up set. Rep ranges go for the warm-up sets. When the weight's lighter, I tend to do like a higher rep range, and then as the weight builds up, lessen the rep range before you go into your working set. So generally, like just as it's not like a rule of thumb, but just as a little bit of a guide, my last warm-up set will probably be somewhere between like 30–50% of the amount of reps I'll be doing for my top set, or aim to do for my top set, just because I don't want to fatigue myself as I lead into that top set. I just want to, as I said before, like sort of prime the body for the movement.
Look on the bright side, I'm taking it high. Look in the bright light, I'm losing my sight. I'm keeping it burning, I'm hotter than ice. I'm climbing the high rise, I'm sick of this hype.
So in regards to like how many warm-up sets you're doing, it really depends on like how far into the movement you are, how taxing or demanding the body is, how externally stabilized it is, and what weight you're working up to. So obviously for something like this, not my strongest movement, I don't have the biggest delts going around, so I'm not going to be working that heavy, which means that I don't really need to spend that time kind of doing multiple sets to work up to that range. For something like maybe an RDL or something like that, where I might be working at a heavier set, or even like a glute bridge, I'll probably spend a little bit more time warming up, just so that I don't sort of jump to this high working weight or high intensity. And then yeah, like I said, like it kind of depends on how stable the environment is and how far you are into your workout. Something like a quad extension, I probably just want to more aim to warm up the joint as opposed to like getting neurologically prepared for the movement. Whereas something like a barbell squat, which is less externally stabilized and requires a lot of internal stability, probably want to spend a lot more time warming up there.
Look on the bright side, I'm taking it high. Look in the bright light, I'm losing my sight. I'm keeping it burning, I'm hotter than ice. I'm climbing the high rise, I'm sick of this hype.
Oh no!
Get it.
No!
I was gonna come rushing.
Damn it! That was terrible.
I'm feeling the burn, it's getting hot. I'm making a sign, you pick it up. I'm sticking my fingers, it won't drop. I'm bringing the heat and I can't stop.
one that I always tell my clients is like the advantage is in the lengthened position. So sort of in that stretched bottom position. So we don't want to be focusing so much on the concentric, and what we want to do is focus on having total management over the eccentric and those stretched portions. So just taking your time through there, kind of hesitating in that lengthened position before going through the concentric.
Drop it.
Born ready.
Drop it.
So we're going to do a unilateral pull down. Today's session we're finishing off with 2 pull movements. So both of them are going to be a vertical pull, and then I'll do 2 horizontal pulls on my posterior chain day. Single arm pull down, and then more of like a wide grip pull down. Trying to hit more of that upper back, create kind of that width across the top to taper into that waist for the bikini category.
Drop it. Drop it.
So with this one, what I commonly see people do wrong is they pull back and they try to take the elbow behind the rib cage. If you kind of look at the lat and in orientation to insertion, it attaches onto the hip. So I kind of get my clients to imagine trying to shorten that distance between here and here, really focusing on almost bringing like that upper arm down towards the hip rather than trying to bring the elbow back behind the rib cage. You want to try and keep everything sort of almost in front of you. So that might mean kind of situating yourself back a little bit more so that you've got a little bit more space there, trying to keep that elbow on more of like a right angle the entire time, or a 90-degree angle. Also like situating yourself to the side so that we have the working lat in line with the cable.
Drop it.
thing, whenever we're doing a unilateral movement, we tend to always have one side that's more dominant than the other. So typically my left side is going to be weaker than my right side. I'm right-handed. So I start off with my left side. I always take it to a close proximity of failure. Whatever weight and reps I get, I match that with my right. Even if I think that I can do more with my right, I kind of just want to play catch up there. So I always start my left, match it with the right. If it was something that was like a significant imbalance, so I used to have like one glute that was significantly less developed than the other. It ended up being like an internal rotation issue. But what I tended to do then was add on an extra set of my unilateral movements to my left leg and then do, so say 3 on my left, 2 on my right. Just for a few months to kind of, like I said, play catch up there. But then again, that was really working on my degrees of mobility and stability.
Drop it.
We don't want to be pulling so far down out of our range of motion where we're getting internal rotation happening at the shoulder. So just stop it within your range. The other thing would be, again, to slow down the eccentrics, make sure that you're not kind of jolting into that concentric and bouncing out of those shortened ranges. We want to have management there. The last thing would be, I like the mag grips, or if you have like a straight pole and attaching 2 D handles to it, it's just going to keep the wrist in more of a neutral position, where as opposed to here, we're more likely to get that internal rotation happening earlier than that neutral grip.